Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Here I am again, playing the same deck again, but that's okay. It's not very often that I lock in on a deck and do small, slow iterations in preparation for a tournament, at least not in a way that I get to feature on the channel, and I don't feel bad for this. I got a bunch of Premodern coming up. I am recording this right before I leave for Columbus Excalibur, where I'm playing two Premodern events, a small one on Saturday and a big one on Sunday. And I really like this Abzan Vindicate build of Oath Ponza. I think Vindicate and Duress are the most bang for your buck in adding a third color without having to play City of Brass and Gemstone Mine, just cards that I don't want to put in my deck at all. Since the last time I played this, which was yesterday for me, a couple days ago for you, I have done the Frank Karsten mana-based math to try to make sure I have my colors on time. And I'll be honest, it's a little fudged. There is so many colorless sources. There's 12 colorless lands in this deck that we have to count Mox Diamond as a full source of every color of mana, even though it both doesn't always work out that way because you have to discard a land, which you don't always have to do this, or it's not always right to do that if you have it. And it's also a card I board down on a lot. But to balance that out, we have 3 copies of Sylvan Library, which means we're going to see more than the normal amount of cards often by turn 3. And we're also fudging it against Sphere of Resistance, which asks you to have all the mana a turn later than a normal curve out. So this is not perfect. And unfortunately, the card that would make it perfect is City of Brass. But that card is so horrendous, and especially in the Rishadan Port mirrors, you might literally just die to it. The next options to make the mana actually good are to play another land or to start trimming on the colorless sources. Like, how much worse is this deck really if there's 3 Mistress Factories instead of 4 and 1 extra colored source? A Mistress Factory is great in some matchups, not great in others. It's a balance, and I don't know the answer to that question. That's something I'm keeping an eye on here. I have also now mapped out my sideboard a lot better. The last time it was mostly vibes based on me trying if this Abzan build was even worth exploring at all, and I decided it was, and then I sat down, mapped it out versus the top 15 decks or so in the Premodern format to make sure my sideboard plan actually makes sense. I'm actually using all the cards in my sideboard, and where I ended up with that was I replaced 1 Engineered Plague with a Wrath of God. Wrath is just higher impact in more matchups, where Plague is still fine against pretty much exactly goblins. This might still even change. One type of card that I'm missing here that I really would like is a Tranquility. And I am a deck with Sylvan Library and Oath of Druids as core engines in it. So Tranquility's not free for me, but a Tranquility, a Tranquil Domain, that kind of card. That's really good versus Enchantress and Replenish, which are 2 popular matchups. And places I could see finding that is maybe replace one of the Aura of Silences with it. Or if I want to supplement the Aura and have more for those matchups, 3 Call of the Herd might be okay, or 2 Duress might be okay. I'm kind of in on Sphere of Law because the red matchup is so difficult. This is also a backdoor Engineered Plague because it blanks a huge percentage of goblins that they're going to play out of the goblin deck. I like where this is going and how much it helps in matchups that are actively poor, that I'm pretty in on it right now. Those are the things I'm thinking about. I got to sleeve my deck up in the next 16 hours or so in real life as I record this. This is my last run with this one for a while. Let's do it. This is Abzan Oath. Merlion Games is hosting one of the biggest Eternal events of the summer. August 22nd and 23rd in San Mateo, California is Breach the Bay 2, featuring a CEDH 25K, Legacy 3K, and Premodern 3K with over $30,000 in cash prizes guaranteed. Breach the Bay also features a huge range of Magic artists, featuring multi-format staples like Oath of Druid, Tabernacle, Tamiyo, Sol Ring, Ponder, and more. If you need cards for the event, there will be vendors on site, or you can use Merlion.gg's deck buying tool. You're 1 copy and paste away from knowing exactly what cards they have for your deck. Make plans now to attend Breach the Bay 2. Links in the video description. I'm on the draw in round 1. I have turn 1, Library or Sphere, whichever one I think is more valuable in the matchup once I know what the matchup is. A Swamp, Carnophage. Okay. Good chance Sphere of Resistance is better in this matchup, at least to start. Basic Forest, Mox Diamond. I think I'm going to discard Wasteland here. If this is just a deck full of swamps, that's not going to find much action. Port's pretty good there, though. A Carnophage attacks. No follow-up play. That's interesting. Okay, Terravore was a great find. That gives me a way to actually get on the board and contest it, rather than just try to slow things down. Because there's not a lot of creature removal in the main. There's no sweeper. I do have 8 point-and-click removal spells with the Plows and the Vindicates, but those won't kick in for a while. Well, I gotta find them first, too. Winter Orb. Okay. That card does slow me down. Thank goodness for Mox Diamond. If I find a removal spell, I'll feel pretty good. If I don't, I'll feel pretty bad. Treetop Village on top, and I think I will pay for a life here, just to move cards forward. And I would like my mana untapped next turn, so I'm not going to port them. Even though porting them under their own Winter Orb is pretty nice, I do need to be on the board before that kicks in. Finding something like an Oath of Druids or a Swords of Plowshares is my job right now. Sylvan Library sees 2 fresh ones. Wasteland's interesting. That could make Terravore big enough to win a fight if I'm willing to waste my own land. All right, top. I can't afford to wait too long to do all this. I'll just run out the Wasteland here. Unfortunately, them not developing might just be a sign that they have a removal spell in their hand. They've hit a lot of land drops. I don't want to waste my own land, so I'm just going to hold off on that play. I got a little more life points to work with. Oh, Phyrexian Negator. That one's a lot more interesting to tangle with, I guess. This Winter Orb is doing me real dirty, though. Which is its job, of course. Yikes. Okay, I looked at a lot of cards this game, and none of them got me anywhere. I think what I'm going to try to do here is eat the Carnophage this turn, go to 3, and then try to stabilize against Negator on the following turn. Sarcomancy, yeah, this is another Carnophage thing. And that's an excellent permanent to sacrifice to Phyrexian Negator. Okay, block, Carnophage, Wasteland, myself. Don't love to see it, but it is necessary. I think I'm pretty dead here, unless, like, exactly Swords to Plowshares is my last card down. Vindicate would work, too. Removal spell. That's what I'm saying. All right, found a Vindicate. You're saying there's a chance. I do have to take a damage to play this. Well, there's no way around that, so it's just going to happen. Blow up Negator. I've got a 3/3 in front of your 2/2. You've got 1 mana and 2 cards in hand. And I'm dead to a removal spell. Swamp. And 7 land drops hit in a row here. It's turn 7, opponents hit every land drop. Normally that's bad for this deck, but it's pretty good right now. Basic Plains is a nice one. I think it's time to get Rishadan Port involved in the game. If neither of us are casting spells, I think that favors me. And because I have a diamond, the port is neutral under the Winter Orb instead of slowly bleeding out. I found a Winter's Grasp. That is... I could tap my lands to blow up a swamp. I don't think that's better than leaving my mana up and Rishadan porting every turn. Terravore gets bigger, but it costs me so many cards. If Winter Orb weren't here, I would just Winter's Grasp because it's the same as porting, but it's not the same under Winter Orb. Dark Ritual. Uh-oh. They can play a 2-drop. An unblockable 2/1. I'm so cooked. We're going to have to Miracle a removal spell again. I'll untap Forest this time because I don't think I'll be able to port anyway. Come on, big hits. Swords to Plowshares wasn't there. All right, GG. Yeah, you never want to see the aggro deck who you're trying to lock out with Port and Sphere play 7 lands in a row. Wrath of God is clunky, but it's got to be good enough. I have a bunch of Vindicates in my deck, which means I don't want to give a lot of respect to Winter Orb. I could blow that up. And I have cards like Oath that don't need mana to function. Plague on Zombie makes some of the boards smaller. It kills Dothy Voidwalker outright. I think I like my removal plus Oath more than I like trying to go on to Call of the Herd. I might just cut one of my Stone Rains here. Yeah, I'll try this. That game, if I had committed a turn earlier to the Wasteland block, but I didn't know Phyrexian Negator was coming. So it was a lot. That wasn't like easy to predict. Like I could have stabilized at 4 instead of at 2. And maybe at that point I even just block the Negator and make them sack all those permanents. But if you sack the Sarcomancy and a bunch of lands that aren't going to untap anyway, yeah, that probably wasn't going to be the play. Dark Ritual, Dothy Slayer, and Sarcomancy. Okay. I'm going to invest in Sylvan Library. The longer that's in play, the better for me. I take 2 extra damage by not plowing this turn, but I'll live with it. A 4 damage coming in. Black Knight. Pro white. Oh no. Sick card. Alright, don't betray me, Sylvan Library. Give me something to do. Okay. I'll put Forest on top. I'll pay the 4 to keep Winter's Grasp. And then Factory is a functioning blocker. Diamond, discard Llanowar Waste. And I can block with a 3/3 and plow something this turn. I think that's better than Stone Raining. Dothy Slayer has to fight. Black Knight is choosing to fight. If I get smothered here, it's not great. Yep, things are happening. Disappointing. Alright, I'll plow Dothy Slayer. Take a bunch of damage. Mishra's Factory is available as a 3/3 blocker next turn. Lake of the Dead, hell yeah. That's a nice one to Rashadan Port. If the game's even still being played at that point. Negator. Alright, opponent's in. Come on, removal spells. Oath of Druids is not bad. Cannot complain. Alright, I'll put Terravore and Forest on top. Then Rashadan Port, play Oath. I can block 3 damage here. Go to 1. Or I could block Black Knight, go to 1. I could put 3 damage on Phyrexian Negator. I'd take 6, and my opponent would have to sack 3 permanents. If they have a removal spell, I'm dead anyway. Fire up Factory. Go to blocks. Okay, I gotta actually think about this. I could keep all my cards, and opponent keeps all their cards. And I'm at 1. I could block Negator, and I know where Terravore is. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands in the graveyard. Plus I can Winter's Grasp 6, so I'll be bigger than Negator. If I block Negator and go to 2, an opponent has to sack 3 permanents, it's going to be Sarcomancy. I think I'd rather block the Negator here. That just does more for me, and it punishes them harder. They could just sack all their creatures so Oath doesn't trigger, but I think I'm winning that game too. I'd rather go 1-on-1 than 2-on-2. Alright, I'm not being given the option. I am going to have to find another removal spell or another blocker. Alright, here's Terravore. It's 7/7. Fresh cards off Sylvan Library. Come on, don't fail me now. 2 life. Hold the line. Second Terravore. I have to go to 1 to cast it. That's so messed up. Alright, top, green, 1, second Terravore. Okay. I'm stable, but I'm at 1. And my opponent has no useful permanents. A swamp. Uh-oh. Carnophage, stop doing stuff. Oh no, I get to Oath again. This is fine. Alright, I get to clear the bad cards, and these Terravores might become fudge enormous. Like, I might just win right now. Yes, Oath. They only got 2 bigger. Well, I can't use this Windswept Heath anymore. Top. Winter's Grasp. I've got 3 10/10s in play for next turn. Pass. I don't know what one card could come out of their hand here. They would need both mana and a useful card at the same time. Okay, here we go. I get a turn. Put back Library and Heath. Okay. Tight. Yeah, Terravore's really big. I don't know if you knew that, but it's really big. That was a tight one. That turn 1 Dark Ritual caused a lot of headaches for me. The Call of the Herds are pretty tempting, some number of them even. My opponent has so many creatures in their deck that I think Oath will still trigger even if I have a 3/3. The problem is, yeah, I guess the game might not really be about Stone Rains. If they're dark ritualing out a bunch of stuff and ending up hellbent anyway, I think I'd rather just have bodies, especially bodies to challenge Negator. Do I want all 4 calls in or just some mix and match? I think I want to mix and match. Both of these games coming down to 1 life point, like if I was at a 1 instead of 2 on that last turn, I lose. And game 1, if I'm at 3 instead of 2, it's a lot closer. Which means I want the Mox Diamonds in the mix. This is a sweet hand. I'm going to discard Wasteland and hopefully just turn 1 Oath and run away with it. Unless my opponent has discard or they're able to back up their creatures with removal basically every turn of the game, this Oath is going to be a huge problem. Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland. Forest, Oath. Bang. Haven't had this start yet in the other 2 games that were closer. They might even like smother their own zombie token, but what's this deck's plan if it's killing its own creatures? I have inevitability that there. All right, so an unblockable creature could qualify as useful. Oh god. Terravore is the top card in my deck. It's a 1/1. Why do I even show up? Why do I play this game? All right, I could Vindicate I think Port plus Plow is the better sequence here. I could make Terravore bigger, but if they have black removal, like most black removal doesn't care about the size of the creature. And I don't want to use a Vindicate on a land that might not matter when it could blow up a creature that could matter a lot. And I actually want to take all this damage because I want to trigger Oath again, even though I have the Plow. If they play a 3rd creature, I can Plow. Black Knight, sure. All right, end step, Plow, the Horror. Get the unblockable one out of here. Still Oathing, still partying. That's a bigger one. A 2 call, the Herds hit the bin. 10 lands. And I think I'm just ready to race. I could let my opponent Oath. I could flashback Call of the Herd. I think I want to do that. Mostly because currently Tormod's Crypt kills my entire board and me. And I think my creatures will be bigger than my opponent's. And if my opponent Oaths, that's going to be a lot of lands in the graveyard, I hope, or at least a few. And then I get to insulate versus graveyard hate. Okay, opponent's at 11. That is the size of my Terravores. You get to Oath if you'd like. Tormod's Crypt, look at that. Confirmed in the deck. Milled to the Oath. Not that that's like meaningful specifically. I mean, it's meaningful that I played around it or was aware of it and played around it. All right, this Dystopia is going to be way too slow. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a green or white permanent of their choice. I'll just sacrifice the Oath at this point and then win the game. All right, 2 really close games where Oath wasn't involved, and then 1 game that wasn't really close where Oath was involved. And that's why we play the power level outliers in the format. That was fun. A very pre-modern gameplay experience. Totally different deck than the Moneyball deck, but still pretty spicy and has a lot of the same tech like Dystopia. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2. I will take a turn 1 Sylvan Library versus literally everyone. I'm probably going to discard Wasteland here. Treetop Village is a colored source and a threat. Factory is a secondary threat. Port is more reliable mana denial than Wasteland. And if Wasteland connects, this hand's crazy and I should discard Factory, but there's no way for me to know that when I'm making this decision. And I tend to play to the downside rather than the upside if I have a choice. Like if the decision is between imagining, oh man, if this Wasteland actually gets a land, that's so good, versus the Wasteland not getting land is so bad compared to Mishra's Factory, then I'm going to play to the situation that is better more often. Right, Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland is where I'm going here. Opponent has the Jackalpup Premodern Champs avatar, a serious gamer. Wooded Foothills, Mountain. All right, they are straight up jacking it. Caves of Koilos. Winter's Grasp. It's pretty interested in Oath of Druids here. Didn't find it. I'll go top. I'm not trying to pay life here in this matchup basically at all. And I'm going to port my opponent and have Plow available. I could use Mishra's Factory to try to block the pup, but something like this lightning bolt from their hand would set me back a land, and I'm not about that. Plow this. If they miss this land drop, I know I can cast Stone Rain right now. Heck yeah. All right, put top, Winter's Grasp. All right, just miss your land drop for a long time. How about that? Bummer. At least it's Barbarian Ring. Lavamancer in the mix. Top. Still not willing to take damage. I don't have to. But I sure wish I get basically anything going here. Okay, they've got Activate Lavamancer as their play. I can start pushing damage back at them now. Continue hitting lands. Fire up the village. Bonus factory. Investing the factory now gets me more damage next turn. If I don't attack, then I could block Lavamancer here, but I think getting them dead is better than saving one life here. Another factory. Top. How does this work? I need 2 mana for port. I can attack for 5 while still porting them. That's pretty good. Third factory. Attack. Buff one of them. Down to 11 over there. Port your land. Nice. Okay. The mana denial got that game done by itself. Sphere of Law. This is what we're here for. And here, I want to be on board to challenge their creatures. Like, Oath functions as Pyroclasm, like they have to kill all their own creatures. But if I don't have Oath, like, I want to double my ways that I don't just die to a Jackal Pup. And then Sphere of Law, obviously, this is what it's in the deck for. Sylvan Library, I mean, getting the best card out of your top 3 is pretty nice, and there are fetch lands in the deck to see fresh ones, but we saw that game I'm just never paying for. The double Diamond open. Sphere of Law is here, though, but Diamond doesn't actually ramp unless I draw 2 lands in a row. I'm going to try it. And this is after boarding out a Diamond. I still drew 2 of them. That's why I did that. It's just so bad. Swords to Plowshares. I can cast that off of Diamond, but I really would not want to lose 2 cards and a precious mana source to an Overload or an Orc Vandal. Lavamancer, Seal of Fire. If I draw a land right now, I'll probably pitch it to Diamond. Okay, yeah, this lets me do multiple things. I'm going to plow Lavamancer and then port their Mountain on their turn. And now we're in the stress zone. Fuck me. Yep, that's what I was trying to avoid. Now I'm 2 lands away. I could have just played out Brushland, taken 1 damage, and been in a much better spot. Okay. Now I'm in a spot again where I guess any land I draw makes white next turn off of Diamond, and I just need to get Sphere into play while I'm still alive. That's the whole job here. Yeah, Sphere would be in play right now. I would be at 16 life instead of 17 because I take 1 to plow, but this isn't a spot I even had to be in. I gum up the works a little bit. Opponent didn't bolt this in the end step. Wow, just frozen up. Did they have the full reactive special over there? Well, Mox Diamond cast Sphere of Law before I even pass priority. That's what's happening now. Dang. I hope most of your deck just became unplayable. Okay, just fired all that damage at my face. That indicates to me, like, it could have killed my elephant there with any combination of those things. Barbarian Ring is a colorless source of damage. Okay, Rashadan Port. I'm going to attack with Elephant and make another Elephant. That damage output is better. I could play a second Sphere, though. All right, yeah, that's actually way better. Now even Fire Blast doesn't hit me. Ball Lightning only does 2. Price of Progress does a lot. Shit. Okay, I'm at 5. Okay, there are still some cards that could smoke me. I forgot about Price of Progress. I gotta remember that one. That's a pretty important one in this world. And that would indicate why they didn't kill my elephant also. Story checks out. All right. Flashback Call. And I think I would like to. attack here rather than port. Though, with 2 elephants, this game might have been over next turn anyway. I did not do the math here. That was actually really sloppy and bad of me. Okay, they're bolting elephants now. We're in good shape. Oh, bolt can't hit anything else. All right, cool. The Sphere of Law Tech got it done. Though Price of Progress, that's one I definitely got to keep heavily, actively on my radar. And this is one of the tough matchups. It's the reason I have such a hammer in my sideboard, and I'm glad to get away with it. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3. I'll keep it. Turn 2 library, and then we'll see what's going on. Maybe I'm supposed to hold back the Heath, because shuffling is so good after a library trigger. And I only have 2 fetch lands in this build because of the mana. I was just worried about getting wastelanded on any other thing here. Okay, are you Grotog? Are you the mirror match? Windswept Heath? Probably the mirror match. All right, it is the mirror, and they had the first library. This could become dangerous. Factory, I think Port and Wasteland are higher value if I do get Stone Rained this turn, though they probably go after the Forest. I expect a heavy life payment at first. This matchup's not really about life total. We're going to be bashing with 10/10 Terravores or not. I guess chip shots with lands could add up. That's an angle to it as well. Oh, that's fucking devastating, actually. That's follow-up devastating. I would have been okay absorbing one of those 2 things, but both is really tough. All right, I'll port their Forest this turn, set up my Stone Rains for next turn. They took an extra card this time. Oh, Wild Mongrel. Oh, this is Terrageddon. Okay. The Gemstone Mine could have hinted at that. Well, if that's what's going on, I guess I'll waste Rashaden Port and then port the island and try, or the forest, and try not to get too dead too fast. Wild Mongrel is applying some pressure, but it does need to dump some big ones before. Like, I'm not. It's not like Psychotog. It doesn't work like that. I'm not in that level of danger. All right, Thermokarst. Target the thing I can target. If they successfully Armageddon while they have anything to my nothing, they're going to win. So I'm trying to just stay ahead of that. They have me beat on card selection and card advantage. I just need them to not cast those cards. Like next turn, I'll probably play Sphere and then continue porting them. Another Mox Diamond. That's tough. They have Landgeddon. Right. Oh shit, the first Terravore. Bad news. Okay, Swords to Plowshares is now the card I'm trying to draw. Another Sphere. That doesn't help. All right, well, I'll play my Terravore. The best that can offer is trading with theirs. Terravores are always the same size. That's how Terravore works. They both count both graveyards. Okay, that washes out the Terravore attack. I gain 10, take 10, but I'm still in the same problem next turn. I'm looking for Swords or Vindicate. Oh, right on time, you stupid asshole. Okay, 6. It would cost me a lot of mana. So do I want to try to lock them down? I guess so. Like, I'm still in mostly the same position here. They should be suspicious about that Sphere of Resistance. And I'm not going to plow the Terravore right away. I don't want them to know. They could just pay a bunch of life and make Wild Mongrel big. No blocks. Plow, Terravore. I think I'm out of options here. I don't have a sweeper. Both of their creatures are illegal. Or lethal. And they have a third one. Okay. I mean, I drew pretty well down the stretch there. Imagine if my Sylvan Library had triggered once that game. Yeah, I kept on the strength of Library. They just had it first on the draw. Yeah, I actually think I do like Oath versus the amount of creatures they present. I think I want to take out all of my Stone Rains. It's a little extra pressure And being able to duress the Armageddon out of their hand is kind of hot. Turn 1 duressing a Mox Diamond out of their hand too is pretty sick. Aura of Silence blows up Sylvan Libraries and Mox Diamonds. That's pretty slow though. It's a lot worse than Naturalize when you just want to naturalize. If you're not getting the tax regularly, yeah, maybe one of these should just be naturalized in my sideboard. And against Enchantress specifically, I would want Aura, and it's worth waiting the turn. Should I be pushing my advantage on the play? Like maybe I have one duress and I get to keep one of my Stone Rains. Now I want to kind of play with these cards and see what we're working with. This hand is Rashadan Port or Bust all the way up. 3 white cards and no white mana. One of them's also a black card, no black mana. A mulligan can only really be good for me if I hit turn 1 library and they don't have turn 1 naturalize for it. I will mulligan this hand, even though I don't like it. Okay. This one did end up being better. I'm going to bottom the Brushland, I think. And then I'll settle into a Rashadan Port game until I can trick them into putting a creature into play. Another Diamond start. They did mulligan, so that's down some cards. Sajiri Step discarded. Weathered Waitfire. All right. Here we go. This is something that punishes with Oath, I hope. Oath of Druids. We know they play Naturalize. Let's hope they don't have it right now. I made their land drop before Wayfinding. That means they're spending their mana this turn. All of it. All right, just slamming out a Terravore, saying I can't answer Oath. I'll at least have the same creature as you. I am going to plow in the upkeep in response to the Oath trigger, so this Terravore doesn't gain trillions of life. Just 2. Lots of stuff to the graveyard. Any order. I got a 13/13. Wasteland. Yeah, Wasteland's better than Rashadan Port. Waste your village. Sweet. All right. I did my dumb thing. Oath of Druids. Powerful magic card. They seeing the Weathered Wayfarer. The spells in my opponent's deck are going to be Plow, Naturalize, Armageddon, Call the Herd, Sylvan Library, Cataclysm maybe. Pyroclasm and Earthquake are probably out. Yeah, I still kind of like Duress here. And I'm on the draw where having a 1 mana play that could slow down their 2 and 3 mana plays is nice tempo. Maybe I like Wrath of God more than I like Sphere of Resistance. Is Mana Denial actually the name of the game here? And do I need Sphere of Resistance to do it? If I'm behind against just like Weathered Wayfarer or Werebear, Sphere of Resistance is quite bad. Okay, Wrath of God's in. Okay, Oath of Druids is here again. I'll keep. They're probably not going to get caught slipping without the Naturalize again. But I could use Library to bait out Naturalize and then stick Oath a turn later. A tapped Village. All right, I could go Jerk mode here and just Wasteland. Opponent's on a mulligan. If I can cut them off colors or even raw mana here, that's kind of exciting. But also, I am susceptible to Wasteland just as well as they are here. Not anymore. We both played around it this turn cycle. Okay, what's the 2-drop game look like? Rashadan Port, that one doesn't stop me either. And they didn't have a 2-drop. Ooh, the Duress. Someday that might be useful. I'm just going to go for Sylvan Library. My opponent did not play anything on 1 or 2, which makes me think their hand is reactive. And, I mean, playing Oath now doesn't do anything anyway. Well, they didn't naturalize in the end step, so they're going to have to spend their own mana on their own turn if they're going to interact with Library. Okay, they had the Sorcery Speed, Naturalize. I'm much happier with that one. I'd love to draw a black source of mana right now. All right, no such luck. Library versus Call of the Herd. I think it's Library. If they jam Armageddon, I just want to make that not an option. They can't just shove Armageddon, setting them down to nothing, and me with Sylvan Library still. This is a problem they gotta solve. All of the Herd, okay. I made a plan for that, which was hold back the Oath of Druids. All right, Sylvan Library, find me a black source. I'll duress them, clear the Oath, and then I win. All right, not today. All right, top of the library, and I think I will pay a little bit to keep a little extra here. I don't know how long this library is going to be in play. The Oath of Druids, you're in there. Pass the turn. Hope they don't have a second Naturalize. Yeah, this is the game we're playing. I can win this game. Yeah, you're plowing your own creatures. Love that for me. A port, a brushland. All right, second library on top. Pay 4 to keep an extra card. I'm gonna move to combat, because if I don't do this, they get to... And I get to attack for 2 no matter what. Yeah, because I could just activate this one with the other one. This attack is clear. I'll play out port. They'll port my port in the end step. Oh, they didn't do it. Wow. I think that was a pretty big bleed, actually. It was free to do. Your mana matters a lot, especially if you're trying to get to 4 of it for Armageddon. There's that library again. 2 new cards. Okay, here we go. Top and pay 4 life. I am ready to party now. Do I want to duress first or get straight to vindicating? I think I'd like to duress first. Duress you. What are you working with over there? Lots of creatures is the answer. 2 Call of the Herd, 2 Terravore, and a Wild Mongrel. All right, so you got nothing, basically, is what you're telling me. Fire up. Fire up. This will get 4 damage through. All right, they're still holding the port. I won't be able to port my opponent this turn. But they didn't end-step port me last time. Will I remember this time? No, sir. And I know their hand's all green, so I'm just going to keep beating up this forest. Wasteland. Okay, that plays around one of my factories or breaks one of my ports. I get 2 fresh cards again. Another Vindicate. All right, top. I can't play 2 Vindicates in a turn. Top, top. Do I think they will go for Wasteland? Let's find out. Activate a Mistress Factory. I'm just attacking with one of these. Got my mana bookmarked for other stuff. Okay, Vindicate the Forest. Take that out. Okay, they're porting one of my ports now. This is why I saved my land drop. So now I can play an untapped land and continue porting them, unless they want a Wasteland, which also sets them back a mana. Yeah, they're just buying 1 turn where they have 2 mana available. And they wasted a card that's not the Mistress Factories that are killing them. All of this is okay with me. Hell yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, the mirror match, or pseudo mirror, this is not the direct mirror, this is not Ponza, this is Terrageddon. But the pseudo mirror is kind of spooky because they have the Mox Diamonds, they have the libraries, they have many of the same creature lands, many of the same anti-land technology. But I have Oath. And if I get an engine rolling and they don't, that's good shape. On to the next round. I'm excited to be a special guest for the Excalibur event's Niagara Falls weekend, September 25th through 27th, 2026. This event features the Premodern Scaling 25K with $10,000 guaranteed and $5,000 added to the prize pool at 275, 350, and 450 players for a total of $25,000. Gold Border and Collector's Edition cards are legal in this tournament, and you can use up to 10 playtest cards to fill out your deck. Be sure to check the FAQ on the Excalibur website to follow their playtest card policy. This has a chance of being the biggest pre-modern event ever. Sign up now and use code BOSH for $5 off entry. I hope I'll see you there. I'm on the draw for round 4. I like my hand. I have turned to Library or Oath. Island. Portent. Okay, this could be some Dreadnought. If it's Dreadnought, Sylvan Library is a much better card than Oath. Opponent did not shuffle their Portent. 2 Vindicates now. If I unlock black, beating up on Dreadnought or beating up on lands becomes a thing. Oh, okay. So we are Dimir Dreadnought or Psychotog, maybe? Fuck off. Main deck Sabo's Web. All right, well, this game just became very hard, actually. All right, that sucks. Gotta find basic forest pretty quick. Duress. All right, well, probably losing Sylvan Library here. Unless they're worried about Vindicate, but I've got 2 of them. Yeah, this card is pretty egregious against specifically me. Oh wow, took Oath. Oh, this might be Tog, and they might have the Tog in their hand. Forest, forest, forest. Bummer. Okay. Passing the turn. End step, accumulated knowledge. It is Tog. Oh, I'm in the market for an untapped black source right now. That qualifies. Mox Diamond. Can I have it? You need foil. And they could gush into foil. Oh, wow. Main deck Annul. Disgusting. Okay. Do I play out this Mishra's Factory? Do I hold it back as the out to draw another Mox Diamond? That really is one of the best draws in my deck. All right. Accumulated knowledge. The Tog is currently attacking for 11 if they go all in. That's quite a bit more. It's an attack for 15 now. And while my opponent is doing a bunch of other stuff too that's pretty powerful this game, this main deck Sabo's Web is really what's going on. I wasn't able to check their answers with Sylvan Library. I wasn't able to put Oath in front of them. Duress, start beating up my Vindicates probably. There goes one of them. Tog is doing a little bit of growing here. How far in are we going? Eating everything that's not accumulated knowledge? Is that where we're going? Okay. Reasonable. Alright, well. I will get a forest and cast Sylvan Library. Oh, jeez. Was that not lethal last turn? Or like what if that finds Gush and I'm just dead when you know my shields are down? That was a weird card to sandbag. I guess it was like maybe you have counterspell and accumulated knowledge and might as well hold up. Make sure you don't lose. Yeah, they're going for it here. It's there. I would like to see the cards discarded and get more information about the deck though. Sickening Dreams technology and counterspell with 1 extra damage to spare. All right, Sabo's Web. Hate that. Duress is coming in. Oath of Druids is a card that if I resolve it, they're going to have to figure out what to do with Psychotog because it guarantees Oath triggers at least once. I'm not sure if that's better than just having Call of the Herds in my deck. Because they have 3 Togs. I have 8 removal spells and the ability to constrict their ability to cast the Tog. This is a grindy matchup, and we just saw freaking Annul. Also, we saw freaking Annul, so maybe Oath of Druids is a bit of a liability. I drew up this sideboard plan. Like, I did make a sideboard map for myself on theory crafting without specifically experiencing every matchup, and I think this vision for winning the game is a reasonable one. Like, if I'm able to Duress plus Plow on a turn where they need to protect their Tog, I kind of like that. Right, I will keep this hand. This one does not die on the spot to Sabo's Web. I'm leading on Waste because holding this Heath as long as possible is a reasonable decision. As I might need double green for these Stone Rains. I might need white for this Vindicate. And I don't know where it's going to be yet. And I have a couple draw steps to figure it out. And if I draw a Sylvan Library, I just want to be able to cast it. They took Vindicate. All right, I will hide the fact that I just drew another land for now. I'm going to just Island Pass. I'll get Forest, and I could just Wasteland my opponent. Why didn't I do that last turn? Why didn't I Wasteland last turn? I think I was making a plan around Thermokarst, and it's like, that's a non-basic land, dude. All right, yeah, I think my brain just malfunctioned for a second there. As the Stone Rains are more likely to resolve if my opponent doesn't have 2 mana. 2 islands. That, of course, represents counterspell, but every counterspell they don't have, every card they don't have, is good news for me. Because cards are worth 1.5 damage with Psychotog in your hand. And if my Stone Rains are just resolving, that's cool too. Another island. Karst. Okay. Gushing to pick all those cards up. That does protect them, but it does also set them back 2 turns instead of 1. Given enough time, that is a good play. But in the short term, it's worse for them than getting Stone Rained is. Tormod Script, sure. Mox Diamond, I don't think I'm interested in that. I boarded some of them out for exactly situations like this, because it's a bad top deck. I'm starting to push damage, though. They still know I have a Swords to Plowshares. Web, yeah, that does clip the Treetop Village. That's fine. Sylvan Library, let's go. That's one of the things I was looking for. That's why I didn't crack this fetch land. Getting it through on a turn where Counterspell's not up is big. I still have 3 Vindicates in my deck to remove Sabo's Web at some point. I've got 3 more Plows after this one. I've got Terravore. We both have cards in our graveyard. All right, yeah, the Duress is going to find the Plow. Second Library. Vindicate's nice. I'm going to keep that. Do I want a second Library? I could fetch in between them and move cards around a lot, or I could just shuffle away this one and save 4 life. Yeah, I'll put that one on top. And I'm just going to play Llanowar Waste. They have 2 Duresses left in their deck. I think I'd rather hold on to this Vindicate. If it gets Duressed, I'll feel bad, but if I just shove it into open counterspell mana when I have other plays, I would feel bad about that too. Impulse. There he is, Big Tog. I get to see 2 fresh cards here. I will hold on to my shuffle. And a Plow. Alright. Put on top and pay for a life to keep. I think I would like to Swords to Plowshare Psychotog first. And then I could hold Vindicate, or I could send it now while Counterspell's not available. I think I'll try the Mox Diamond. Yeah, that's as good as a Forest. They try to blow up Web. This unlocks my win conditions. That does use up a second removal spell if the hand was just 2 Togs. I'm just going to hope that was not the case. A Portent. Shuffle the library. AK for 2. I'm pretty interested in a Call of the Herd. That's just a good blocker and a good threat. There's that library again. Terravore and Sphere. Okay, put on top, and is Sphere something I'm interested in at this point? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the last Sylvan Library pop I get. I play Sphere. This makes Counterspell not a thing. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Terravore. Opponent can Tormod Script me, but we both have lands in our graveyards, and I have a fetch land still in play. Opponent did see a lot of cards last turn, and they're tapping Psychotog mana, and then they untap Psychotog mana. Alright, Psychotog resolves. They would have to come up with Wonder or double removal to kill me this turn. Digging, we're digging. Right, top, can't pay more. And then another Terravore. Oh yeah, they can kill my Terravores at will, because Psychotog can also eat them. Damn it, Brian. I shouldn't have played out the second one. Crypt me, activate Psychotog. I forgot about that. Like, I knew about it in my head and then forgot about it right now. And that's the cost. So there's no chance where I can even fetch and do this. Yeah, I shouldn't have played out that second one. If they pass priority, I can act, but they haven't passed priority yet. Now they did. All right, fetch. Okay. Sweet, Merciful Poseidon. That was stressful. Yeah, they definitely just beefed that. Could have wrathed me completely and chose not to. I still have to lose one to combat. And now I'm trying to sphere my way into, or library my way into a removal spell and sphere to protect it. Sylvan Library. I just shuffled, I promise I did. I found Vindicate. All right. Top. What do we think the chances are they have nothing? Vindicate into this 5-card hand. Yeah, nobody thought that was going to work. I'm going to attack while I can. Pretty sure I'm losing, but playing around a removal spell here doesn't feel like the way I'm actually going to win. Control magic. All right. You did it. Okay. Yep. I messed up an interaction there. I didn't get too punished by it because my opponent messed up the same interaction. Maybe this plan needs work. Maybe the Oath should still be in. Mostly I just couldn't apply pressure that game. I had to spend time dealing with Sabo's Web, and then took me a long time to find creatures, and they were bad creatures when they came. Fair enough. On to the final round. The BoshNRoll channel is sponsored by Ultimate Guard. I travel all over the world playing Magic with very expensive cards. I trust Ultimate Guard products to protect the tools of my trade wherever I go. Whether you like magic art, licensed art from other worlds, entirely original art, or the simplicity of plain colors, their products have incredible range to match anyone's style. Protect your cards how I do, stay up to date with all the new releases at ultimateguard.com, and stop by the Ultimate Guard section of your local game store. I'm on the draw in the final round. Positive record lock, playing for the bread and butter 4-1. I will keep my hand. Turn 1 Sphere or Library. Versus Island decks, I like playing Sphere on 1. Okay, and I found a land. That's good news. Diamond. Discard Village. Factory. Sphere. Yeah, the Island decks, if they're trying to cantrip, if they're trying to stifle Dreadnought, if they're trying to stand still, all these things are bothered by Sphere of Resistance. And if I keep drawing lands, I'll keep casting spheres. And Rashadan Port and Thermokarst become big jerks in the near future. Oh my god. This might be too many spheres, but I'm committed. Depends on if my opponent keeps hitting land drops or not, because I ran out. Did you run out? Blooded Strand, cracking it. A land can play a 1-drop here. They could tap all their lands to gush and have nothing. Cycle Decree of Justice for 0, just to try to hit a land drop here. I respect that. And not rewarded. Let's go. That gets Sylvan Library into play. This is the last chance I'm going to have to do this, so I'm going to take it. And once my engine's online, I can start porting and attacking. Oh, they found a land. And it's a reasonable one, Dust Bowl, but it's not as good as what I'm doing. Okay. I'm just going to pay the max while I can to just keep all my stuff. I would rather have a Treetop Village than a Mox Diamond. And I'll begin the pass the turn, port your plains phase of the game. Okay, they're missing land drops now. Discarding Wrath of God to hand size. Terravore. I put on top, and I'll pay 4 to keep one of these. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can Karst here. Oh, it costs 6. All right. Yep. Still doing it. Yeah, blowing up that land while I can, so port's even more effective in the future. Discarded Standstill. Yeah, we're already standing still. Okay, top. This fetch land is perfect. Get to assembly work here. They don't have the mana for Dust Bowl, and I don't think they could afford to sack a land, even if they did. Sometimes all it takes is 3 Sphere of Resistance and a Rishadan Port. This is one of the matchups where Duress is at its very best. Control matchups, control and combo is where it's at the best. I don't like Oath here. I don't like Plow here. They could bring in some Exalted Angels, and then there's also the concern about their creature lands, like jockeying over creature lands is a way that this game could go. But Oath is definitely a stinker. And Mox Diamond, once again, it's a bad top deck in a grindy matchup that's about cards. But I do want some. This hand is not inspiring. It does have a shitload of creature lands, though. All right, I'll keep. Vindicate. I can't cast either of the colors of that. That doesn't happen doesn't have to happen quickly in this matchup. A forest. Just keep dropping out lands here. The density of creature lands in my deck is so sick because my opponent would really like to cast cards like Standstill, but that's not even necessarily good for them. I'm just ripping off Thermokarst. If they want to counter it, that's fine. I'm not doing anything else here. And if they don't have the counter, putting it back a land is my whole job. Miscalculation. Yeah, I could have waited to play around that one. But at some point they get to cycle it and get a card out of it. Dust Bowl. I got a lot of targets for that one. I did just draw Vindicate. If I try to Vindicate Dust Bowl, they'll just sack it to blow up one of my lands in response and get a 2-for-1 off me, but at least Dust Bowl's gone. All right, I'll play out Treetop Village and pass. Factor Fiction. All right, we've got removal and counter spells are the 2 types of cards here. I think the land and removal is what I want them to have. And then I don't want them to have the counter spells. Yeah, I knew they were going to take the land wherever it went. Right, got 2 plows over there. Wasteland is nice. I'm going to put that into play. If they ever tap too low, I'm just going to clip the Dust Bowl, and then I can unlock a bunch of different plays that are available to me. Okay, well, they just did it already. Yeah, I'll take that out while it's not a 2-for-1. Using it to cast Impulse is fine. Mistress Factory. Duress, huh? Well, let's have a peek. What's going on over there? Counterspell, sure. Happy to see that go. I got nothing but lands to play here. The draw go game, I'm good for a while. My opponent's better at reloading than I am. Cards like Factor Fiction and Selection like Impulse. But we're both high land count decks. All right, Rishadan Port, I can at least start to be a little annoying. I'll tap a Plains. Terravore. All right, well, I have something I'm working towards now. I'll tap the Waste. It's just a dual land. Oh, they missed a land drop. Don't know how much that ultimately matters. At this stage, we both have a lot of lands. But something like Sphere of Resistance could start making it a problem. Annul, sure. Sylvan Library is a nice one. Do I want to wait until I find a Duress? I could go Vindicate, see if they interact with that, and then try to stick library afterwards. I think I'm going to do that. Black, white, colorless. Vindicate your factory. They might just not even care about this. I would love to see Counterspell. This is why I did this. Something's happening. Prohibit. Okay. Prohibit would have worked on Sylvan Library. Did they take the bait? Did it work? Unfortunately, with 2 fetch lands up, I can't Rashad and Port to tap them out of Counterspell and then change phases. Oh, we're in there. Might just get disenchanted, but we are in there. Yep. That's fine. I shot my shot. All right, land go. Teferi's response. Oh, got me with the ancient technology. That's so good. Nice one. All right, well, that drew 2 cards and blew up my Rashad and Port. Awesome. Something of a land destruction deck yourself, I see. Discarded a null to hand size. It's kind of stressful. Powder keg. All right, that's more shit that makes my creature lands not really very good. Sylvan Library. If they're discarding a null to hand size, I think they have library covered. I'm just going to pass and wait until I come up with a duress. So I can do things with moderate confidence. I'm going to go from opponent. Wasteland from me is pretty nice. That keeps Mishra's Factory at bay. Opponent's got 25 cards in their deck to my 38. If I'm just trying to figure out where the win comes from. And they could just cast Decree of Justice for a lot. And they are tapping a lot of mana here. They're making 2 4/4s. Okay. All Swords to Plowshare is one of them. And then I'll try to cast all the cards in my hand. Sylvan Library. Terravore. Counterspell. Terravore. I know they have 2 Swords to Plowshares in their hand. This will gain me a bunch of life. I should have tapped Factory instead of Wasteland. God, what is this shit? Core Haven, wow. Prevent all damage that would be dealt by target attacking creature. That's a nice one. Disenchant my library. Yeah, I didn't get the squeeze on my opponent this game, and they were able to do everything they wanted to do. Okay, upkeep. I will fetch my last forest before I draw it by accident. Draw for turn. Vindicate's not bad. Vindicate the powder keg. Or do I want the angel? I'm going to wasteland the core haven and then attack with my 9/9. I'll start there. And they can plow it before it becomes a 10/10. Yep. Technically correct sequencing. And then vindicate the angel. That resolved. I can start chip-shotting because I know their hand is full of answers. Their hand is large and full of answers. Okay. I'll try to flush out that other Swords to Plowshares. It's a straight-up trade with Mishra's Factory. Disenchant. Okay. Still holding one more plow. Those Call of the Herds I boarded in would be pretty decent here. Just something to pressure the powder keg. Treetop Village, wake it up. I'm not giving 2 lands to the powder keg, but I do have to work through these cards. All right. They got me. Got kegged. Does that mean they're about to cycle a decree and they just need a keg out of the way before it kills their win cons too? Not necessarily. All right. Wake up this Mishra's Factory. Play this one. Attack. Oh, they have 2 factories. I missed this fucking land drop. That was so bad. Okay. They missed back. I literally didn't see that they played another factory, and they could have just eaten my factory completely for free. Holy shit, that was bad. And I'm hellbent, and I have nothing on board that could have interacted with that. So they just either didn't see it or they panicked, because why would I make this attack? Good question, opponent. I don't know. All right. Destroy one of these lands, I hope. Counterspell. All right. An aggressive counterspell. I can't attack into a 4/4 blocker. I couldn't do it last turn either, but I did. Oh no. They drew an action spell. That's a good one. Decree of Justice and everything else, I think, is the pile I'm going to make. Yep, and they took the decree. No surprise there. I would love to play Pernicious Deed as a sweeper in my sideboard. That's a card I thought about, but in my Mox Diamond, Sylvan Library, Creature Land, Oath of Druids deck, did not seem actually very playable. 4 4/4s. It's like getting hit with the Fantasticar. Come on. Sphere of Resistance. Okay. I'm going to check my deck. I don't think this game's winnable anymore. I didn't board in the Wrath of God. Maybe I should. Interesting. Okay, I think I have to deny their mana a lot better than I did that game. Like earlier Spheres, earlier Stone Rains. Phyrexian Furnace is not what we're doing. Duress felt really good. They did have to counter it both times I played it. Never saw a Call of the Herd. All right, I'm going in with the same plan. Engineered Plague can name Soldier and stop small decrees. It doesn't stop versus big decrees, though. All right, I'll keep this hand. And do I duress on 1 or 2? Probably on 2. That gives 1 extra turn of development for me to peek before I play my 3 drops. And they'd have to have exactly a null to stop me if I draw a Sylvan Library right now anyway. That's not what happened. All right, what are you working with? Disenchant Plow to Fairy's Response Decree. And this is that Core Haven over here, this awful looking Core Haven. And Decree is a win con. Decree's a lot of things here. Call of the Herd muscles through the... Yeah, Call of the Herd will muscle through Swords to Plowshares. I'm playing the ultra long game right now. Plains, Factory. I'm not going to play out the Factory. Not yet. Someday. All right, there's an Elephant. Impulse. Impulse is not a card I knew about, and it's just dug for another card I don't know about. I do know about Edakar Waste. And I also know about Teferi's Response, so that Rashadan Port is going to relax for a minute. Okay, there's the Plow. Herd. Herd Chef. Okay, Miscalc is one of the cards they dug up in the meantime. I think I probably should actually have the Plows out now. Does that make sense? Because I saw a lot of their deck and I didn't see Exalted Angel. A Terravore. Playing around Miscalculation. It doesn't die to the cards I know about in their hand. I know 3 other 4 cards right now. You asshole. You absolute asshole. Okay. Pass the turn. I have perfect information again. Not that it's helped me so far. I could fire up Treetop Village. Yeah, I'm going to do that. This costs 2 to activate. All right, yeah, they can't disenchant and Core Haven this turn. Or yes, they literally can. Why can't I count? Why don't I know how to do anything? What's going on in my life? What's going on, man? Are you okay? I think my brain just literally can't process these Theros basics and the whatever this is, Edakar Waste, and this card even at all. I'm getting Universes Beyonded. Teferi's Response is in hand. Flushing out that disenchant, not that I did it on purpose, but it does create the same opportunity next turn for me to make those attacks again. It clears the way if I draw a Sylvan Library. All right, Powder Keg makes everything harder. Wasteland. That could find a home one day. I'll put it into play. Fire up the Factory. I'm not taking my foot entirely off the gas. If you want 1-for-1 trades, I can give you 1-for-1 trades. But let's see that life total diminish. And the Wasteland sitting in play is fun, because I know about Teferi's Response. You know about Wasteland. Who's going to find a spot to use this first or blink first? I'm going to attack. They'll probably Core Haven. Come on. All right. Or they'll keep drawing outs. Rashadan Port, go in, but you won't be used. I suspect I'll be Vindicating Powder Keg this turn. There's not much else I can do with anything. Teferi's Response is the only card in their hand. Unfortunately, it's good against everything I'm showing. Vindicate the Powder Keg. And they have so much mana that I can't actually even tap them out of Core Haven and then make them do anything else. Like, they could Core Haven this, and Teferi's Response is still up. What a menace of a card. All right, so I'm basically looking for duress at this point. That's my way out of this. And it gets pretty exciting pretty quick if I find a duress. Now I have 2 attackers. That's exciting again. Sphere of Resistance. I will summon the Sphere of Resistance. And then animate Factory. Animate Treetop Village. Hope I don't get ambushed by a Decree of Silence. Or Justice. Yeah, Decree of Silence, not very good here. I took one of them way earlier. That was the thing I did. Swords to Plowshares. Endless Removal. And still conveniently up exactly enough mana to Teferi's Response. I do think this game is fun. Just FYI. If I sound like I'm not having fun, I actually am. Another Sphere. Yeah, one way through Teferi's response is making it uncastable. I guess I should be attacking, because if they just Factor Fiction now because I didn't make them tie up their mana, yeah, I should be attacking. It cycled 2 miscalculations. Yeah, it's not like the attack does nothing. It ties up a lot of mana in a spot where tying up their mana is what I'm trying to do. Oh, they're tapping mana on their own turn. Outer Keg, it's back. And Teferi's response is up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to wake up Mishra's Factory. If they Core Haven this, Winter's Grasp works. And if they just Powder Keg it, then the Powder Keg is gone. And I can play out this Treetop Village and move on with my life. All right, I've been kegged. Treetop Village, you're in there. Blooded Strand. Vindicate. Fire up the village. Gotta make you spend mana. This is actually incredible how I've been just hard locked by Teferi's response as a Magic card. Not incredible, like I can't believe it, but incredible in that this hyper niche card is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is keep Rashad and Port decks from going nuts. A choke would be pretty nice in this matchup. That is a card I thought about, but I think I'm generally in good shape versus blue decks anyway, and I don't need to dedicate space to a card like that. Right, keep on trucking. Yeah, they've hit so many land drops. And I could just cast Thermokarst and let them draw 2 cards and move on with my life. I think that's how I have to play this at this point. All right, I can do that better next turn. All right, I'm just going to pass for now. Yeah, maybe when I draw the second or third one, I'm supposed to just do it. I don't want to lose a land over it, but this handful of spells over it. Okay, Thermokarst. Okay, there's the response. In response to that, I'll wasteland this thing. Do they have a second response? I'm doing this now before they can cantrip into a second one. Okay, just sinking a ton of mana into an impulse. But if this finds another response, they can still exactly resolve it. Okay. We did it, gamers. Why did Teferi's response just fizzle? My opponent did not draw 2 cards there. Does the spell have to be actively targeting a land you control when it resolves? That seems weird. Sylvan Library's got to be one of the best cards I can have here. Library. Disenchant. Yep. Reasonable. Cycling Miscalc. Reasonable. Fort Coastal Tower. I'm saving Wasteland. That there's better targets. Okay, it's my turn now. Another Rashadenport. Attacking their lands just seems so pointless, but it's also like that does matter. As like they do have to Decree of Justice eventually. Or do something. And if I can actually lock them all the way out of it, or at least reduce their options on the turn where I find another Call of the Herd and start doing something. Yeah, it's just about doing the work here. Even though the hill is tall, we climb it. We put the boulder on the back and we climb. Okay, Stone Rain resolved. Okay, their life total doesn't matter, so I will go after the dual lands. Or their life total, it matters. I'm more likely to win with chip shots than a giant Terravore here. Okay, a forest. Arst. Ugh, found it to Teferi's response. All right, well, I mean, let's try this again. I don't want to exploit a bug, but I also don't want my opponent to draw 2 cards if this works. Counter target spell ability that targets a land you control. So it doesn't currently target a land they control. Is that how that's supposed to work? I don't know, but I'll look that up. Like either Magic Online is bugging or that's like a really cool niche interaction of an old card. And I'm willing to believe it's a niche interaction of a cool old card. All right, I'm out of cool stuff to do here. I'll fire up the boy. I fully expect this to disappear somehow, but I gotta work. Gotta clock in. Yep, Swords of Plowshares works. They floated a mana, so now I'm gonna wait till their draw step to tap another land, or they can impulse now. I'll tap the other planes before they can impulse into the third Teferi's response. Opponent's doing a couple minutes better than me on clock here. That is another layer. Blooded Strand. Oh my goodness. A useful card. Okay, I'll make a 3/3. A mighty 3/3. Okay, they tapped all their mana and then untapped it and gave me my elephant. All right, now I'm going to go after basic planes. Now that I have something in play. Adakar Waste. taking damage if they have to tap this card for colors does matter. Fact or fiction in response. Counter spells, creature lands. I think I'm going to go counter spells with the less good creature land. Or we could go counter spells versus lands. I don't want them to have both lands. Do I want them to have counter spell no matter what, though? Is also a reasonable question. I could go counter spells and lands. I think they'll take lands here. Okay, I'm going to go counter spells and lands. I do have 2 ports. I'm not actually worried about these lands. And a plow and a vindicate. Like, this is what my hand is good at right now. Okay, they took all the counters. Missed a land drop. I did not miss a land drop. I'm going to attack with my elephant. And in combat, tap an island so I can get Call of the Herd in through Counterspell's second main. There it is. Pass. All right, I hope they die with those 3 counterspells in hand. Mishra's Factory. Found one despite my best efforts. Okay, pass back to me. Another Rashadan Port. Let's go. I'm going to attack with my elephants. They got through. And I'll pass to you. Port game continues. Decree could be for a lot here. All right, there it is. Okay, 8 of those. I might as well plow one. That's what it's for. Plow one of those. And then tap as many lands as I can. Wonder how many decrees they play. If there's a 3rd in the deck, they can get aggressive here. If there's not, I can get aggressive. Okay, they're on defense. That's exciting. I know their hand is full of counter spells. So I guess I just pass the turn. Unfortunately, Rashadan Port is a tremendously tedious card to click through on Magic Online. I think I can win by decking my opponent in actual reality, but maybe not in 4 minutes on the clock. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to stop porting them, at least in the upkeep. If they animate Mishra's Factory to try to do anything, I can port them then. I should be porting in the end step, if not the upkeep. I just have to play this game. There's the 4th port. Okay, they're going to clean up now, discarding a Null, another Vindicate, Dust Bowl, a powerful card at a different phase in the game. Base land that can deal with Dust Bowl. I'm not doing anything till they do, though. Okay. Waste the Dust Bowl. One of my ports got blown up. That's fine. It's gone. Teferi's Response. Gotcha. JK. I don't get to play that card. I can splash it off Mox Diamond. A 3rd Dust Bowl? That sucks. Or am I thinking about the second one from the last game? I'll play out this land, even though it doesn't fetch anything anymore. It could make a Terravore bigger. Yeah, if they work my ports down, they might be able to start attacking with these factories in a way that's productive. Another factory for me. 7 cards in my opponent's deck. Another port gone. Dust Bowl doing its thing here. I should be porting Dust Bowl in the end step. I think that's actually just the correct way to play. Like, even if I'm playing to the clock, I should have ported Dust Bowl in the end step. That ties up a bunch of mana. Okay. Trick them into casting a Null. Okay, they can start attacking now, maybe. Nope, they're still in the Dust Bowl. Terravore? I'll at least put it on the stack. I know their hand is full of counters. And I could probably resolve Sylvan Library here, but I don't want to have to click through that every upkeep. Like, the game is now not about Magic the Gathering anymore. It's about the clock, which is a real shame, because I think this game would have been cool to finish it the normal way, but now I'm just F6ing and hoping my opponent decks before I die. A factory is waking up. A single factory can attack. All right, 1 factory with all these tokens. I'm going to block 2 tokens. Opponent's at 6. Oh, I think I could have just won the game. All right, hold on. I'll reconsider that next turn. Like, if I Vindicate a factory and they have to counterspell it. All right, let's see if they make the same kind of reckless attack next turn, if I can punish it. All right, think while it's their combat step. Vindicate costs 5. I can cast 1 Vindicate. Oh, they found another factory. Or no, that was the one that was tapped. Yeah, they had 2 untapped factories. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. 3 cards left in their deck. And now they have less clock than me, too. Or are they tapping out for the 3rd Decree, making Flying Angels 2 8/8s? All right, well, I'll Vindicate one of those. Sphere of Resistance, another one. All right, white, black, 1, 2, 3. Bonk that. Still don't like my chances. I think last turn was the turn to try to figure it out. So I missed a tap their Dust Bowl in the end step turn where I could have done something because I'm playing fast. And then there was last turn where I could have vindicated a Mishra's Factory and perhaps caused trouble for them. Okay, the soldiers didn't attack, so I'm going to double block Factory. They can make it 4-4. They can't make it 7-7. If they also Swords to Plowshares, they could win the fight, but then I gain a bunch of life and they're tapped out and I can vindicate. Treetop Village. I know they're holding Counterspell because I gave it to them all those years ago. I'm going to play another Sphere. All right, they correctly don't care about that. Good call. One card left in your deck. That is enough to win the damage race if they make their attacks correctly. All right, 2 factories have stood up. They can get me for 9. Oh, this is exactly 11 right now. Tight. 13 seconds on their clock, me at exactly 0. That was a cool battle. And yeah, unfortunately, having to play to the clock. Like, I could have resolved Sylvan Library 3 turns ago. That turn where I didn't port them in their end step mattered. And then that turn where I could have tried to vindicate one of the factories, they tap out for Counterspell, and then I have a reasonable attack on their 6 life points. Yeah, there were 3 spots where playing fast made me play poorly there. But I also wonder if I just have that matchup wrong or if I should have some sort of tech for it. And Duress is huge. I love Duress. Maybe I should have engineered Plague in to name Soldier. Sweeping up those 7/1/1s at any point would have been huge. Yeah, that was also the game where I let Teferi's response hold me hostage forever. And yeah, I'm going to look up that ruling right now, actually. Okay, yeah, that is how this works. Teferi's response. Counter target spell or ability an opponent controls that targets a land you control. Yeah, if the land doesn't exist, then the draw 2 doesn't happen because Teferi's response now has an illegal target. Okay, yeah, that is a actual rules interaction that I just learned for the first time, where I could have used the Stone Rain plus Wasteland to flush that Teferi's response out probably 4 or 5 turns sooner than I did, and then I can just start porting and going nuts. Yeah, okay. So the pre-modern heads or the rules heads out there who watched me just sit there locked for all those turns as my opponent dug out of the spheres and the creature lands I was pressuring them with, and they were freaking out. You were right. To everyone else like me who just learned an important rules interaction, I'm glad that happened now and not at the Excalibur event or any of the other things, the Battle at the Bay or the Buffalo Chicken Dip Legacy. That is an important thing to know how to wiggle out of. And that probably cost me the game, giving them all those turns to develop when I could have been just locking it down. Okay, that helps. I also think 1 Aura of Silence should just be naturalized in my sideboard. There's plenty of spots where where all I want out of Aura is a naturalize, and I don't need the sphere effect. And I think there's actually more matchups where that's true. And then the Krosan Reclamation in my sideboard, this is mostly so I don't lose to the Brain Freeze pivot out of Dreadnought or Brain Freeze decks in general, like Iggy Pop. Just some insulation there. Maybe I should not be worried about that, and I should focus on something like a Tranquility for the more common matchups that is also their plan A. All right, I got a couple slots here I'm going to tune up, and I've learned an important lesson, actual lesson, not a lesson in my brain. Like I got too greedy and I got punished and I should have played more carefully. Like I literally just didn't know how that worked. And now I do. Awesome. This was a very informative league. It feels fun to me as someone who has to play a different deck every day, frequently different formats too every day, to lock in and have so many reps and such a good understanding, or at least I'm starting to form a strong understanding of this one archetype. This has been a blast to work on. My next pre-modern videos will be after Excalibur Columbus, so you won't have to watch me play this deck again. I'll do it on my own time, at least for a while. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.